Now Amnon, the eldest son of King David, through Ahinoam his wife, fell in love with Tamar, the beautiful sister of Absalom, David's other son, through his wife Maacah. Amnon became so obsessed with his sister Tamar that he made himself ill. She was a virgin, and it seemed impossible for him to be with her. Now Amnon had an advisor named Jonadab. Jonadab was a very shrewd man. He asked Amnon, "Why do you, the son's king, look so unwell morning after morning? Won't you tell me? I'm in love with Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. Go to bed and pretend to be ill. When your father comes to see you, say to him, I would like my sister Tamar to come and give me something to eat. Let her prepare the food in my sight, so that I may wash her and then eat it from her hand." So Amnon did what his uncle told him to do. So Amnon lay down and pretended to be sick. When the king came to see him, Amnon said to him, "I would like my sister Tamar to come and make some special bread in my sight, so that I may eat from her hand." David sent word to Tamar at the palace, "Go to the house of your brother Amnon and prepare some food for him." So Tamar went to the house of her brother Amnon, who was lying down. She took some dough, kneaded it, made the bread in his sight, and baked it. Then she took the pan and served him the bread, but he refused to eat. "Send everyone out of here." So every one of his servants left. Then Amnon said to Tamar, "Bring the food here, so that I may eat from your hand." Tamar took the bread she had prepared and brought it to her brother Amnon. But when she took it to him to eat, he grabbed her and said, "Come to bed with me, my sister." "No, my brother," she said to him. "Don't force me. Such a thing should not be done in Israel. Don't do this wicked thing. What about me? Where could I get rid of my disgrace?" But he refused to listen to her. And since he was stronger than she, and Amnon forced himself on his sister Tamar. Then Amnon hated her with intense hatred. In fact, he hated her even more than he had loved her. He said, "Get up, get out." "No," she said to him, "sending me away would be a greater wrong than what you have already done to me." But he refused to listen to her. He called his personal servant and said, "Get rid of this woman out of my sight," and bolted the door after her. So his servant put her out and bolted the door after her. She was wearing an ornate robe, for this was the kind of garment the virgin daughters of the king wore. In great anguish, Tamar put ashes on her head and tore her ornate robe she was wearing. She put her hands on her head and went away weeping aloud as she went. Her brother Absalom said to her, "Has that Amnon your brother been with you? Be quiet for now, my sister." And Tamar lived in her brother Absalom's house, a ruined woman. When King David heard all this, he was furious. And Absalom never said a word to Amnon, neither good or bad. He hated Amnon because he had disgraced his sister Tamar. 2 years later, and when Absalom's sheep shearers were at Baal Hazor, near the border of Ephraim, he invited all the king's sons to come there. Absalom went to the king and said, "Your servant has had shearers come. Will the king and his attendants please join me?" King David said, "No, my son. All of us should not go. We will only be a burden to you." Although Absalom urged him, he still refused to go, but gave his blessing. Then Absalom said, "If not, please let my brother Amnon come with us." The king in his wisdom said, "Why should Amnon go with you?" But Absalom urged him, so he sent with him Amnon and the rest of the king's sons. Absalom ordered his men, "Listen, when Amnon is in high spirits from drinking wine, strike Amnon down and kill him. Don't be afraid. I have given you an order. Be strong and brave." And so Absalom's men did to Amnon what Absalom had ordered them to do. Then all the king's sons got up, mounted their mules, and ran away. While they were on their way, the report came to King David, "Absalom has killed all your sons." Not one of them is left. The king stood up, tore his clothes, and lay down on the ground, and all his attendants stood by with their clothes torn as well. But Jonadab said, My lord king, he did not kill all the princes. Only Amnon is dead. This has been Absalom's motivation ever since the day Amnon raped his sister Tamar. Don't be concerned about the report that all the king's sons are dead. Only Amnon is dead. Meanwhile, Absalom had ran away. The watchman went and told the king, I see men in the direction of Horam-Maim on the side of the hill. Jonadab said to the king, See, the king's sons have come. It has happened just as your servant has said. As he finished speaking, the king's sons came in, wailing and screaming loudly. The king too and all his attendants wept very bitterly. Absalom fled and went to the king of Geshur. But King David mourned many days for his son Amnon. After Absalom fled and went to the king of Geshur, he stayed there for 3 years. And King David longed to go to Absalom, for he had peace with Amnon's death. After 3 years, King David forgave Absalom and allowed him to come back home. This is 2 Samuel chapter number 13.